We are on episode 2 of season 3 of Black Mirror. This one's called PlayTest, and it's about video games. Specifically, a guy by the name of Cooper, last name, wait for it, Redfield, who's backpacking not just across Europe, but apparently across the globe. Dubai, Egypt. Tokyo. I mean, this guy is taking planes, trains, and automobiles to really experience the world and hook up with some ladies before he gets too old. And he decides to take part in a new test of a VR video game based on a survival horror series. This is the first Black Mirror episode to lean into horror, though it's written by Charlie Brooker, and he really doesn't do complete horror episodes, so there's some tense moments in here, but it's not super scary. In fact, I think that's a bit of a demerit. He probably should have got another writer with him that could do some actual legitimate jump scares and add more horror elements to this, since it really is about a guy surviving a survival horror video game. And of course, the name Redfield, play on Chris Redfield from the Resident Evil series, that Charlie Brooker and I am a big fan of. So Cooper is a little low on funds and ends up in Britain, hooking up with this journalist by the name of Sonia, and he gets his bank account hacked. So he ends up staying with her for a few days.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, you are a top bird. I don't know what that means, but I heard somebody say it once, and you're it.
And he notices she really likes video games, specifically survival horror video games. And he uses an app where you can take odd jobs, kind of like an Uber Eats DoorDash scenario. But in this case, you can take really, really odd jobs where you could be a medical guinea pig. In this case, for a survival horror for the very popular company Sanito Guma, a made-up video game company. And this is the main developer, the genius developer, a Japanese developer. Now, who is this guy trying to be? He runs this big video game company, this experimental survival horror game that they're going to get him to play. Who are they basing this on? Hideo Kojima? Maybe. Definitely a poster. It looks like Metal Gear Solid in the background. Is it Shigeru Miyamoto, the guy who created Mario? Starting to see some resemblance. No, I think I have it. I think it's Shinji Mikami. That'd be the most obvious one. He kind of looks like him, and he was the guy who created the Resident Evil series. So I'm going to say this is Shinji Mikami.
Hold it! Give up the god hand, now!
Only thing I'm giving up is an ass kicking.
But we want the arm!
And his resume is pretty impressive. Resident Evil, Dino Crisis, God Hand, Vanquish, underrated, and Evil Within series. You know, that kid's going places. So yeah, this character is supposed to be based on Shinji Mikami. I'm pretty sure. Not Hideo Kojima. Seems like Charlie Brooker has some knowledge of video games. I guess he doesn't go super deep in them, but he's obviously a fan of the Resident Evil series. The virtual reality location that Cooper is set up in looks very much like the mansion in Resident Evil 1. At least that's kind of what I'm getting from this decor. And this is a really good premise. Up until this point, this episode is absolutely excellent. It is going to take a bit of a, I don't say nosedive, but a bit of a ping down then ping up, because Charlie Brooker is a great writer, but sometimes he's too smart for his own good. He has a great premise. A guy's in a virtual reality testing a survival horror, and Cooper has an earpiece that he can use to communicate with the woman running this test by the name of Katie, and their back and forth is really good. It makes him feel a lot less alone. It clues the character in on how this reality works. She says nothing can hurt him, nothing can kill him, but they are going to try to scare them. Also, it uses his own memories and reads his mind to show him the scariest images. So the first one they show is a spider, because it's reading his mind knowing that he's scared of spiders. So if you're scared of snakes, like me, maybe it'd show you a giant snake. And this is a cool concept, but I think Charlie Brooker kind of messes it up. Because rather than just having more scarier and scarier stuff happening, where he sees a spider, then he sees a giant spider, then he gets chased, then you get some jump scares, he pretty much throws that concept out of the window after seeing a spider, then seeing an old bully, and then seeing an old bully spider where they merge together. Once again, a cool concept. So they know he's scared of spiders, they know he had this bully in his childhood, so they kind of merge them together, so the spider has the face of the bully. A very unique track, but then that just gets thrown out the window, and Sonia breaks into the mansion.
You're in danger.
You look so real. You're like just like her.
That photo that you sent me? Well, I dug around and apparently shows Saito took out a patent for a computer brain interface last year.
How? You're real. and they brought you here, and they're trying to fuck with me. Nice try. Good try.
Okay, well, I like the attempted horror aspects of him wandering around the virtual reality haunted house and things popping out at him. Okay, now we have Sonia that's come in, who is the girl that he was hooking up with, and actually the person who helped him find this job in the first place. Okay, so now we get the twist. But of course, no. Charlie Brooker gets a little too twisted in his own amount of twists. And the problem with doing this is if you just do a twist, and then another twist, then another one, then another one, the audience just gets exhausted. This is the first quote-unquote twist we have so far in this episode, but there's going to be like 10 more. I kind of like them going with the storyline of Sonia turning on him. She ends up attacking him in a second, but they just end up dropping that. Seeing that she's here to save him and then starts fighting him. And we start getting Inception levels of false endings. You kind of knew this was coming. Well, I thought this was going to happen. Whenever you have something like a virtual reality setting, you never know what is exactly real. And writers just love this concept because they think they could just fool anybody watching. Like, hey, you think he's reaching out for his mom? That's not really his mom. He's a zombie. It's like, yeah, we know. We're aware. So I think just having him sneak around this mansion and being scared would have been a better way of going at it rather than him throwing in his mom, throwing in Sonia, and getting all these ridiculous endings over and over and over again. Kind of like as Charlie Brooker's writing this, he's like, oh man, they're never going to see this coming. Sonia, his girlfriend's going to break in, and then she's going to say she's here to save him. And the viewer's going to think she's really here to save him. It's like, no, Charlie Brooker, nobody thinks that. We know that she's fake. And then, instead of trying to save him, she starts stabbing him. Oh man, they're going to be shocked by that. It's like, no, nobody is shocked by that. Everybody knows that this is fake. Cooper doesn't know, but I still know he's in the virtual reality. Also, if Sonia could just break into the mansion and quote-unquote save him, why wouldn't they just run out of the mansion? I mean, apparently just opens the door and she comes in. So if she goes, they're here to kill you, when you just go, oh shit, okay, let's run out. To the point where you really have no idea what's going on. They had an A+ concept, and I think bumped it down to about a B. It is very action-packed. It is smartly written, even though it's confusing. Though they do explain the ending, which I will also explain. I don't even say I'm ruining it. They give you like 4 false endings, and they actually end on the worst ending. They should just start with the first false ending. That made more sense. So he does have this safe word that he can use. Stop. He actually was smart and chose a good safe word, stop, instead of like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious like other characters do in movies. So he yells the word stop because he's getting too scared. This is getting too real, and he's being stabbed by his ex-girlfriend, and apparently he can actually feel it, which is something he's not supposed to actually be able to feel. But he's feeling it. That knife went right into his heart, and then she disappeared in the virtual reality. And we get a nice scene, a very Resident Evil scene, where he's going to the extraction point, which is up the stairs, and then they do a slow door turning. Once again, like Resident Evil.
Stop the game. I want out. Just pull me out now. Stop, stop, stop. Safe word, fucking stop.
Okay, but it's not in there.
You're not in control of this.
There. Now open the door.
Oh my God.
It's the only way I can get you out. Listen to me. Whatever's in there cannot harm you.
You ready for the real ending? In fact, I'm just going to read it rather than trying to paraphrase it. Here's the real ending. Prepare to be shocked. Back in the first experiment room, Cooper yells for his mother as the mushroom kills him. Cooper was in fact killed within 0.04 seconds. They actually specify that. 0.04 seconds by a phone call from his mother causing signal interference with the device. The subsequent experience existing only in his head. So, yeah, they just connect it and he just dies immediately. Alright, so people, I'll read some reviews in a second. People have speculated that the moral of the story is you should call your mother, because throughout this episode, his mother calls and he never answers the phone. And then he he does take a photo illegally of the device. His phone's supposed to be turned off. He turns it on, takes an illegal photo of the device to send to his girlfriend, and then forgets to turn his phone off because he's a moron. And so the phone is off and causes a signal interference. So the phone is still technically on and causes a signal interference. Like they tell you can happen on airplanes, but it can't. I think I like the first one better, where he was just trapped in the mansion forever. Or even the second one, where they tackled him it told him that his memories were being sucked away. I think I like that one better. Or even the third ending, where he went to his mom, and it seems like she had some type of Alzheimer's, and kept calling him obsessively over and over again, not realizing he was right in front of her. I think I liked all those endings better than this one that actually happened, where they just connect him and he dies immediately. It's an 8.0 on IMDb. Last episode we covered was an 8.3, so it's a slight downgrade from that, supposedly. And I think it's not quite as good as the debut episode Nosedive, but it still really is a cut above anything else you'll see on Netflix, except Narcos or Breaking Bad. So the character of Sonia, his girlfriend, is played by Hannah John-Kamen. And because Charlie Brooker, who wrote this episode, is a cheeky bastard, Hannah played the character of Jill Valentine from Resident Evil in the 2021 movie Welcome to Raccoon City. I don't think she exactly looks like Jill Valentine. Cooper Redfield was played by Wyatt Russell in the movie 22 Jump Street and Thunderbolts. And Night Swim. Oh boy. I saw it in theaters. I forget who dragged me to it. But yeah, he plays the father, Ray, in Night Swim. About a killer pool. Alright, let's look at some reviews. The most popular review gave it a 9 out of 10 and said the devil's in the detail. Compared to the X-Files Season 7 episode, First Person Shooter, which was also about VR, in which I saw back in the day, almost 20 years ago, this episode shows what the similar concept could be delivered if a more serious angle is taken. While first-person shooter, they're in a first-person shooter video game. In this case, they're in survival horror. The research done right, and the production details attended to. The only reason why I don't give it a 10 is Sonia. I feel that this character didn't receive a full closure. I agree. Not only did she not receive a closure, she just burst in, said she was going to save him, and attacks him and dies. I thought she was going to come back as well. I was like, okay, they're going to give actual closure. They're going to explain why she burst in. The other convincing aspect, in many other horror films, the characters are plain stupid and don't know when to quit. They touch things that look obviously dangerous, stay in danger when it's time to bail, and finally die with zero sympathy from the audience because they're just way too stupid to be real. The protagonist here knows the technology. He absolutely does not. Has basic logic. Kind of. And reacts to events the way that an average person would do. Yeah, he doesn't do anything too dumb, but nobody understands this technology. Because he was told people cannot attack him, and then what happens? Sonya comes and attacks him. But yeah, I wouldn't say he's stupid. He's erratic, he's loud. Some people commented that he yells too much during this episode. I thought it was fine. One thing that was a little off, the actor does a great job of playing kind of a dude bro in his early 30s. Cracking jokes all the time. However, once the tone gets serious, he's still doing the thing where he's cracking jokes and not really taking anything seriously and acting goofy. You never really get to see it change from like him being the party guy to him being more serious. He gets angry, he yells, but he's always kind of cracking these jokes. And it works in the beginning. I think it's pretty funny, but towards the end when he has these things attacking him, this isn't Bruce Campbell we're talking about. It's very hard to pull that off. The most impressive part is that the reactions develop from event to event. The acting in lots of other horror films fails to deliver this and so easily falls flat by cloning the same level of excitement throughout. Well, this isn't a horror one. Next up is episode 3 of season 3, Shut Up and Dance. About a guy who's looking at some naughty stuff on the internet. And you know what happens when you look at naughty stuff on the internet, you get a virus. Or sometimes you get someone who holds you hostage and starts blackmailing you. This is a really good episode with another very controversial ending. You think the playtest was a polarizing ending? Oh boy, wait till we get to Shut Up and Dance. But it's one definitely worth checking out. And season 3 is by far the best season so far that we covered. We got San Juniper coming up next, Man Against Fire, and the 1 hour and a half movie length documentary Hated in the Nation. So stay tuned for those. We're covering every single episode of Black Mirror. Also, check out our playlist for other shows that we've covered, like Tales from the Dark Side, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Pet Shop of Horrors, Cowboy Bebop, Monsters, Fear Itself. And all the episodes are now in the correct order, because I got a little jumbled up. Oh, it's very complicated, but they're in the correct order now. It'll start with episode 1 and go down the list.